back to Recorder on the Wall, where I am your avid and producer Pete, and with me are my fellow panelists.
I'm Matthias.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Braden.
And we'll have a brief moment of silence for Martin's love life. Okay. So, yes, folks, if you're following us along, this is the final 2 episodes of Season 3 of the PBS cartoon of Martin the Warrior. And if you haven't listened to practically a lot of our catalog already, much less when we covered the book, and we tried to keep it secret until that actually came out in the book, spoiler warning, we have a major character death. And it should be pretty obvious who it is.
What? Grum dies?
I mean, eventually.
Oh dear.
Fair.
All right. So that being said, when we left off, Martin had just recruited a handful of creatures from Noonvale to go support him in his army, and I hoped you liked looking at them because they never show up again.
Well,
No, literally, they are not shown again in the remaining 2 episodes. So yeah, they volunteered, but I guess they stayed home.
I changed my mind. Sorry.
And then Feldo was, it was really unclear if he died. We're gonna get our answer very quickly here.
Mm-hmm.
This
Feldo
was
lives. Oh.
Well, yes, but we'll get to that. And yeah, Feldo had challenged Batarang. Batarang had, do the usual bad guy boss of calling on minions to shoot the squirrel tormenting him, and yeah, that's where we ended. So, these final 2 episodes, we'll get to my final thoughts, but yeah, I mean, I knew it was coming, but they accomplished a lot in a short time. And if you're wondering why we split this season as many episodes as we have to, maybe to pad it, just seems like we're padding things out. Well, we are, but it's also because this season, more than any others, is exceedingly plot dense.
It is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they literally, I think, shoved like a fifth of the Martin the Warrior book into the last 2 episodes. It's like, how? I don't think you can put any more in there. The show will literally start splitting at the seams, and characters and animations and sketches will just start pouring out the sides.
Yeah, we also had a few interesting animation, I won't say errors, but quirks in episode 13 here. But I'll get to that when it comes to it. But yeah, this just leads me to say, and we'll cover this in more detail when we come to that final verdict for this season, much less these final 2. But I'm starting to think that the Madameo season's still the best one, for not just engaging characters, but balanced level of plot and everything else.
I would tend to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Plus, it has my favorite animation error in the series, where somehow Baby Rolo ends up in the Kingdom of Elcaris. It's like, how? I don't know.
Well, this is after Madameo himself teleports back home very briefly and disappears right as quickly as he came.
Yep.
So, episode 12, aka episode 38, is Battlefield Marshank. So, I do want to point out the opening tapestry bit made me smile, or at least laugh a little, because there's a bit here that looks like Batarang screaming like a little girl as javelins come down at him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was entertaining.
It is wonderful.
So our episode proper begins with Martin and his threesome without the Noonvale people I just mentioned. They're gone. Following Boldred down to the Otterboat. And yeah, that's basically it. Boldred's like, oh yes, Martin asked her, let me correct myself. Martin asked her, hey, how quick can the shortest cut get us to Marshank? Oh, 2 days, but no one's ever survived it. Have fun. Like, wait, what? Then how do you know it takes 2 days? It's just
there are so many questions.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There's just so many questions. It's like, I'm not even going to start asking because once I start, I won't be able to stop and will literally fill the entire episode with nothing but me asking questions about, okay, why is this? Why is that? Where's this plot inconsistency getting tied up?
You know, the epilogue? Yeah, we'll go with that.
Oh, cool. Let's jump ahead and see what happens there.
No. So
No?
yeah, we start with the Otter boat, and incoming are not Gotham Shrews, who immediately reacted badly to Bold Red. Who
And her
takes
reaction's
his...
basically along the lines of shrews. Why did it have to be shrews?
I mean, they're lucky this isn't Captain Snow.
Yes.
So, but Bold Red's like, well, fine, whatever. And we get this. I mean, it's admittedly more of a it's definitely humor for kids. And our Otter boat basically said, yeah, we told the shrews they can't come, so they're coming. And they keep playing this. Like, shrews, don't follow us. And this, of course, the shrews do. I'm like, this is more reverse psychology for the God tribe, or even the pygmy shrews, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did do that a couple times in the book, to be fair, but
Yeah. And yeah, we switch over to Marshank, where the exceedingly dwindling and limited crowd of the Fern Freedom Fighters, who I thought were a lot bigger group than this, especially when they freed the slaves.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we're only shown maybe about a dozen or more creatures total as they rush to go save Feldo, who is currently being beaten to death, essentially.
Yeah, it's like only the most important characters were like, yes, we're going to rush on ahead, and then no one else shows up.
Yeah. And they also bring the cart with them, because this becomes important very quickly. And they use the cart as a barricade to avoid getting shot by Batarang's archers. But Batarang, I know it saved money, but when you send your archers through the Imperial Stormtrooper Academy, yeah, you're not having good results here. We also
Only
get...
Marshank troopers are so precise.
But yeah, the Fern Freedom Fighters managed to drive Batarang and his people off with sling stones, including hitting Batarang directly, which we do see and get him, that wound is treated, but it's never brought up again.
Yeah, it's like, here, we're going to address it, and then we're going to immediately ignore it for the rest of the series.
And then, of course, our heroes do catch up to Feldo, who is very dead at this point.
And once again, talking is a free action.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it is. Because even though Batarang's archers are literally on the wall top, aiming down, they don't get hit.
Nope.
And Barkjan's crying over his son you can tell he's gone stoic till he doesn't cry, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because yeah, any parent who loses a child like this, yeah. So, but yes, we do get eventually Batarang does tell his archers to fire, and as Brome and Barkjan cry over this, even though Barkjan is looking up at this fortress, he's like, yeah, neither of them thinks to we should really get out of range. But Fur Freedom Fighters continue on, and Batarang has moved his throne outside the Longhouse. Anyone knows this?
Yes. And
Yes. I mean, it's a nice day.
Weird.
I can't blame him. So
It's a weird decision is all. It's like, you do remember the squirrel that you just fought and killed, managed to throw a javelin through your longhouse door. There's no reason to believe that these creatures that you have just backed into a corner can't do the exact same thing.
Much less you've
But
given them very good reason to even hate you all the more.
But it's really hot in there, you guys.
That's fair. That's
They have
fair.
no air conditioning. Yeah.
Nope.
So, and we also get Clog doing his malicious compliance and just teasing Battering. And spoiler alert here, it's not till the very end of the last episode that we finally see madness kind of set in, and it's not even that much of a madness.
Spoiler alert: Clog survives.
Yeah,
Yes.
Clog survives.
Anyway, and in one last fit of seemingly careless spite, Feldo's need for revenge almost dooms his friends and compatriots to a slow, agonizing death, which is not cool. Because
No.
they're now pinned down behind the upturned cart, trying to, not get hit.
Yeah, about this. Yeah, it's never outright said that they're pinned down. It's implied heavily. But because Battering sits back, it's like, we'll wait them out in comfort. And I'm like, no, you won't. All they need is the cover of darkness to get away. Really, that's all they need, number one. And number two, so long as you're trapped behind these walls, you can't go and harvest from your own fields. They can. The only people who are going to be waited out is you here, Battering. Like, it wouldn't take much to starve you out, frankly. And we don't
At least
know
according to the way that the show has set itself up.
Yeah.
Well.
Much as we don't even know that Marshank has a fresh water supply. I guess they draw from a well, but we've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. From a tactical point of view, no. Battering, you're at a severe disadvantage. Yeah, but you notice the Fern Freedom Fighters, even overnight, don't take the opportunity to just get the heck out of Dodge. When they very well could.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's the principle of the thing.
Yeah, I guess so, because Battering never even considers the idea of, like, they could just leave. They could literally just leave. And he wouldn't have the resources to chase them down.
But then the story would be over.
Yes, I know.
Right.
Okay. Going
Martin
back.
Martin needs to finish his character arc. And he can't do that if he can't get revenge.
Oh, so this is a contract kind of thing. Like.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and also Ballo gets briefly injured, but it's kind of ignored.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have a mouse that is speaking like a hare. Was this a thing in the book?
No.
When did this happen? Who is this character? He's not even named.
I think he's just there to act as the audience surrogate to speak to Balaw directly and basically say, here, I'm going to point out your character traits in an obvious way that lampoons who you are in the middle of this dire situation to try to distract from the fact that we could be escaping, but we're not for plot reasons.
So
is that abbreviated on the call sheet?
Oh. So we go back to our boat, our 3-hour tour on the boats here. Yes, I'm never going to give that joke up. And where Boulder is like, well, I'm out. See you at the fight. Oh, and she basically outright states, I'm going to be getting you an army, and Martin can't put that together.
No. He's very preoccupied, you see.
Vengeance doesn't preoccupy itself.
That and absolutely blatant infatuation.
Yeah, let's get to this. While they're on the boat, Martin and Rose straight up admit love for each other.
Yep.
That didn't happen in the book.
Nope, it did not.
I mean, it's heavily implied, but okay, that's a thing. I'm not knocking it. I'm like, okay, they admit they love each other.
You have to build it up to make everyone super sad later, don't you know?
Yeah.
But what?
Well, let's actually discuss that tragedy element here, because as we mentioned when we covered during the book, like anyone who had read Mossflower before this had to known something would happen that would see Martin driven off by himself to start that book.
Hmm.
Now, do they expect Rose's death? Probably not from the outset. But yeah, for anyone who just grew up purely from the cartoons and then later came back to the books, yeah, this was a bit of a shock when we know the obvious plot point to come will happen. Although, Tolkien kind of spoiled it all the way back in her episode, but...
Yeah, but I mean, when you're a kid, you just don't think about, at least I didn't. Like when I was reading, I can't remember if I read Mossflower or Martin the Warrior first. It may have been Martin the Warrior first. But I
I
was
read
just
Martin
like,
the Warrior first, so I didn't see
yeah.
it coming. It was the first book I read, frankly. But yeah, when I was reading Mossflower, I'm just like, and I looked up the order, and I'm like, oh,
Yep.
yeah. Also, Martin is a dirty, dirty liar.
Well,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Well,
can
yeah.
address
did
that
that.
later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched the show before I read the book. So me too, with a case of just stupid kid. I'm not watching this, analyzing it. I'm watching this to watch it, to enjoy it. And
Yep.
Yeah, that's where I
what?
was.
Rose dies?
Yeah.
We also get, at one point, we do also have Batarangs, basically his spokesrap is like, hey, so we really don't want to kill you all if you're willing to become slaves. So I know there's no 401k, but you down for this?
Well, we really don't want to build the fortress by ourselves, so we really need you guys to like come be slaves again, because that would just make our lives easier. Okay, thanks, bye.
Yeah, the funeral costs are just going to be way too high, so we'd rather not kill you. Plus, you get to not die. That's great. Understand, we do not want to kill you. We just want you to suffer under years of torturous labor.
But there's a dental plan.
And the dental plan is we won't punch you in the face and knock out all your teeth.
Unless you deserve
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Or less we're bored. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So obviously, no, the heroes don't agree to this.
And, I can't help but draw parallels between our ragtag group of freedom fighters and Ukraine's current stalwart fight against tyrannical invasion. The
Mhm.
comparison is almost uncomfortably uncanny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So, moving back to the Rapids, and the whole reason Martin even admits that he loves Rose because she's scared and hold on to him as they go through the Rapids. So, yeah. But Batarang gets the bright idea, but we only get a brief rapid scene, then we're back to the good guys hiding behind the cart at night, and again, run. Just leave. That's all you have to do. Now, granted, you can argue maybe there's a full moon out at night. And it's a lot easier to see people. And Batarang and his crew are using fire arrows for funsies. And, that would provide some nighttime illumination, to be certain. But I still think you could probably get away.
But that would be cowardly. We must stay till the bitter end because we are noble fools.
I was about to say something along those lines. Thank you for saying that for me.
That or
You're
the
welcome.
contract requires us to do so. When Break a Day shows up, because remember it would say it would take 2 days for Martin and his crew to get there. We finally get to the rapids, and the big otter boat manages to get through. Barely. It's kind of fun to watch them deal with this, and Martin and Rose hold on to each other for dear life. And we only get a very brief shot of Pelham and Grum also having to react. Unfortunately, we do not get the scene of Grum fainting, because that would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
Right?
So,
Well, actually, I saw him fainting.
did I miss that?
Jumping
I'm
forward.
checking. Oh, no, he does faint.
Okay.
Point withdrawn. But
Yeah,
the
because
otter...
I wrote a note specifically saying Grum fainting is the funniest thing to me.
Okay, well, he did faint, and I missed that. It was probably when I was looking away from the screen to type up more funny notes.
Poor Grum.
And the otter boat survives relatively intact, and we do see the hedgehog flat boat. It will get through it too. But what were the shrews thinking? Taking canoes?
I don't know. Can you think of something better?
Oh, God.
Oh.
Well, we do see the shrews. Their canoes do not survive the rapids. But thankfully, every one of them is totally okay.
Because it's a children's book.
I take that
And-
back. I've got it playing on the background and on mute. There is one or two canoes that survive. And yes,
Okay.
Grum does faint. I had that wrong. So yes, they finally get to Marshank. We're about to. And we go to daybreak at Marshank itself, and Badring's like, "You've kept them up all night, right?" Yeah, we totally did that, Chief. He certainly didn't fall asleep on the wall top, right?
Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, it's not in their union contract.
We also, when Batarangs asked, he was like, "Yeah, we totally kept them all alive." We get the literal version of where Batarang gets to laugh evilly, but when his minion starts laughing, Batarang glares at him. It's literally "This was a boss laugh, not a minion laugh. Shut up."
Yep. And it's like, I thought I was supposed to. No, you're not supposed to think. You're supposed to do what I tell you to. Moments.
And of course, Clog is digging graves because that's what his assignment is, and he's enjoying every minute of it.
You'd expect he'd be a little bit more somber with such a grave assignment.
Oh, I knew that's where you're going with that.
Oh.
No, I
Well, you
can't
were
even
dead
be mad
on.
at that one.
Oh.
But ding.
Oh.
Indeed.
So Battering, of course, seeing that there's only maybe about a dozen of the Fur and Freedom fighters, despite, they've rescued at least twice that many slaves. But hey, maybe they're back at the base camp, just, not caring. He's going to do a final charge and, kill all the escaped slaves. Yes, Batarang, all of them. Seriously, how does no one have an accurate count of either side's forces around here? Or it's maybe because animation models are expensive.
Well,
They do a lot of good work, but, numbers are hard.
We do get set up for and of course, Claw. Before this, we get Claw gets more snark than a Batarang.
Yep, he's enjoying himself way too much.
Yep. And we finally get Martin arriving on shore. Boulder's like, "Hey, Marshank's just over the next hill." And yeah, we have Martin's little army. And his army is the Pygmy Shrews, or at least the adults. And I don't know who's watching the kids. However, I do not care.
more slaves, probably.
Oh, that got dark.
Yeah.
We have the Gaw tribe house. We have the warden of Marshwood Hill, certainly Boldred, and just kind of scattered ones and twosies. Certainly the remaining full-grown shrews, and the Hedgehog and Otter family that they did the river rafts with. But yes, here's your army, your mighty army that amounts to it's still more than Batarang's people.
Woo!
So
Now they're gonna win, and everyone's gonna be fine.
yep.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
And in the middle of this, Martin flashes back to like the first or second episode when he's strung up between the two poles. And I can't help but wonder, like, someone snapping their fingers in front of his face, like, Martin?
And the weird thing is...
It also wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching the TV series during the original run or like the initial reruns, where it's like you have to wait almost 2 weeks to get to the finale, then yeah, I can understand how it'd be just like, oh yeah, that's how this started. but I find it very, very weird. They recorded fresh audio for the flashback, or like they did like a different take, but he sounds so unemotional. It's like the
I mean, this
recycled.
is supposed to be Martin at his peak of berserker rage.
Yeah, and it just no, it doesn't come across that way at all.
Nah.
It looks wrong.
Yeah, you got a point on that.
And
I'm not angry, Nelvana. I'm just disappointed.
Oh no. I believe in the book it was Rose who was actually having the flashback because it was like kind of from her perspective, and she was saying like her heart went out to him as she remembered the first time that she'd seen him. But that would be really, really interesting and weird to do in the TV show, because I don't know how you would portray that. This is what Rose was thinking. Or she could be like saying out loud, I remember the first time I met you, my love, and then go back into the flashback. That'd be weird.
As you know.
Yes.
But as Coast Martin and his crew is charged to help out, the Fur Freedom Fighters and Marshank's forces don't know they're there yet, and we're getting their final charges. And I hope you like this like completely off book version of the Fur Freedom Fighters flag that Brome briefly carries, that just suddenly shows up, and it's a closed fist holding a spear in yellow and brown. Now, if memory serves, and correct me if I'm wrong, I did not read the book ahead of this, but isn't it supposed to be green with the spear? But yeah, what do I know?
Yeah, it's been a bit for me too. I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
should study up before our trivia episode in case that's part of it.
Yeah.
So we go
I can tell you that is not one of the questions that I wrote. So you're
Okay.
safe there.
or it
Woo!
is,
Or it is
and you
now.
can't tell us.
Or is it?
So we get two sides charging at each other, and what follows is a lot of bloodless, and they kind of push against each other.
Yeah.
And even
Unlike-
Brome, who's supposed to be a non-combatant medic, he's fighting.
Oh,
So.
I was not aware of that.
I kind of wish there was some like 60s Batman boom, pow, bam.
If the abridged series ever comes back, they need to put that in. So, as the good creatures are pushed back by Badring's forces, literally the one who trips Bala looks up because he hears the warden crying out, and then suddenly he looks around. He's like, "Oh crap!" And for Badring's part, who isn't taking a personal hand in this fight, which is kind of out of character for him, but
Yeah.
He's just standing on the wall top, and one of his minions like, "Huh, I swear I hear thunder." Oh, it's not thunder; it's an enemy army. Oh,
Uh-oh.
The number of times that has come up in a Redwall book is absolutely fascinating. It's like, sounds like thunder, and then it's something that's not thunder, whether that's, a giant army charging or a waterfall.
yeah. We also get the said wall top minion and Batarang look up, and they see Bold Red, and I have to think, like, even in this this more squeaky clean version of the PBS, the sight of an owl has got to be a pants to be darkened moment for any ground species that we've seen.
What was that, Braden? You were going to say something?
Oh, I was just talking about the thunder thing. They're very sheltered people.
Look, it's been well established Batarang does not hire the smartest people out there.
No.
They're doing their best.
Yeah. But yeah.
I love how the warden's war cry is, "I am the law!"
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect? It's the warden.
Yep. Judge
I'm
Dredd,
sure
he's
it was
not.
it's just like recycled VO. They needed something, and they can't just have the cry of him like over and over again, that bird cry. It's just like they need to make him say something. What do we have? Oh, here's another take of "I am the law."
It'll work. And yeah, Martin and his crew saved the remaining Fur and Freedom Fighters. And Batarang is does not take this well because no one takes anything well in the series, as we've well established. And when Martin straight up says, "Hey, remember me?" Batarang, of course, is like, "Yes, I'm going to kill you myself." The usual villain shtick. "Oh yeah, Batarang, take out your contracts. I've got an option for season 4. Do you?" Oh no. If there
You are
had been
not a multi-season villain. You are only a one-off. I, however, am a recurring character.
I would, if the abridged series comes back, that would be a perfect joke, and it would also be in tune with that comedy they already did, because at one point in their season 1, when Matthias questions out loud, "Why did Martin go through all this trouble?" And it literally goes over to Martin in his season. It's like, "Oh, that jerk's gonna get 2 seasons, and I'm only gonna get 1. Well, I'll show him."
Yeah.
Also, we see, once again, talking is a free action as Martin gives a rousing speech to his crew, and it's like, Batarang, why don't you just order your creatures to fire? This is the perfect opportunity. They're distracted.
I can't interrupt a good
I'm
monologue.
sure he does the exact same thing.
I mean, it isn't the hero and
Yeah.
villain code. You have a good monologue has to be let play out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Of course, if it's a bad monologue, you can feel free to, let loose. But
Oops, dagger in your back. So yeah, that season episode 12. God, if there were 12 seasons of this, we would never be done. Yeah, season 12. Season 12. We're covering Doom White. Oh God.
Well, who knows what to do with Netflix?
Mm.
Yeah.
It's true. We still don't have any
I'm holding out
information.
hope. I really, if I could say, okay, beyond the standard 3, Redwall, Matameo, Martin the Warrior, and you know what? We'll throw in Mossflower as a bonus.
Yeah.
What would be like the top 3 other Redwall stories I'd like to see? I want to see Rackety Tam, number 1. I want to see number 2, Marl Fox. And I'll say number 3, why not Pearls of Lutra? I think that would be fascinating.
I would want to do Mariel, Bellmaker, and Salamandastron to build towards Redwall.
Oh.
I would want to.
I want them to fit Legend of Luke somehow.
I want to put Long Patrol in there somewhere.
Oh, that would be. You could make that like Lord of the Rings level epic with this 1,000 vermin army coming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we basically just listed half the book, so get on it, Netflix.
I know.
Yeah, Netflix.
You
I would be disappointed.
You have heard us, Netflix. We, the fandom, have spoken. Yes, we speak for the whole fandom. You will do as we say. Now get on it.
Wait, what about all those other podcasts?
Nope, we were first.
We were first. We get
I
dibs.
mean, yeah.
All due respect to our fellow podcasts. No offense meant.
All right, so episode 13, the final PBS Nelvana animated episode, Rose of Noonvale, aka episode 39. This is the one that ends not just
Why did they
season
name
3.
it that?
I don't know.
Maybe
Some inscrutable reason, I'm really not sure. Were they actually like reading the book? That's a strange thing.
Maybe as much as they apparently the Halo TV series read the books or played the game. So I have yet to watch that. I do have access to Paramount Plus, but from long-term fans of the Halo franchise, they're not happy.
No.
So you could give it a Halo goodbye?
Me.
Perhaps. So, episode 39, aka 13, begins after the Tapestry recap. Literally begins with a battering ram. That is at first very off angle, and it looks like they're hammering the thicker part of the door instead of that little door within a door. But then it quickly switches over. To they're hammering the door within a door.
It already made some animation. They had to use it.
Yep. But again, Batarang's archers went to the Imperial Stormtrooper Academy because they cannot hit anything.
Oh yeah.
And Martin finally shows us the warrior mouse he is, and he's full of berserker rage.
Really more of a berserker simmering.
I mean, I don't want to call him Ben Stein here, but when he does get get frustrated and he starts attacking the wall himself with the dagger, his voice doesn't exactly raise an octave or anything.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this is the whole point of this book, is that, or at least the book was that this is when he was reckless and kind of stupid and would rush off at the drop of a hat to do violence. And
yeah, getting a bad case of the Feldos.
Yeah, something like that. And we see come Mossflower, he's more measured, more focused, and by Legend of Luke, he's ready to let go, seeing what it cost his father. And it not even here. No, he's not. He's mad. Oh no, he got angry eyebrows at Batarang, but that's about it. So okay. And then, so of course, the Freedom Fighters withdraw because that's a tactically smart option. So they need a better plan of attack, and Batarang preemptively celebrates victory with his troops. Like they're assuming that the Freedom Fighters are withdrawing and they won't be back, and Clog's just like, dummy, it's a tactical retreat.
He's the only smart one. He's on like the verge of madness, and yet somehow he's the only smart one. How does that work?
Yeah, much less
crazy doesn't mean stupid.
Yeah, I mean, crazy could just mean he has a pretty accurate view of the situation, but a bad solution. And his solution, as we've seen, is basically malicious compliance and let everyone else die around him.
Yes.
And to be fair, he does have a bone to pick with his former crew for abandoning him. But somewhat. And yeah, he's not going to cry tears if Batarang gets killed, clearly, because then that means the fortress will be his.
Yes.
But yeah, Batarang isn't usually this stupid. He's not even considering the fact that the heroes might be doing a tactical retreat.
In the book, he is thinking to himself, I know exactly what's going on, but because his troops are celebrating, he's like, I'm just going to go with it.
But yeah, and Clog has finally worn out his welcome with Snark, and Batarang kicks him off the wall top. So
it's really amusing to watch him just fall and tumble.
Yeah, but he's gonna need to see the base's chiropractor after hitting his back like that.
Yes.
Like I said, then we get the title screen, and yeah, we go back to the Freedom Fighters camp, which this is probably the most expansive version of this we've seen.
It's like, where did they get all this stuff? It's like, I know the cart was destroyed and there was nothing in it, so I'm assuming they emptied it, but was all this stuff really in that little rickety wooden cart that could barely hold Roanoke?
I mean, we see 10 canvas, we see, I don't know, maybe there was a circus train that they stopped and robbed.
Or maybe it's secretly a TARDIS.
There you go.
So, yeah, we get Martin and Rose basically walking through the camp, and we stop by God Tribe House, who are actually making themselves useful and working on the net. Huh. I thought they were just kind of a wind-up toy to set and release against the enemy, but no. Apparently there are studies that, the college they're at are actually bearing fruit. So, good for them.
The underwater basket weaving class actually came in handy.
Nice.
We also get Martin. Hey, Brome, the one guy your sister came to, bring back. Her one job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hey Rose, we found your brother.
Oh, by
That
the
reunion
way,
felt a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah.
There is a moment at 4 minutes and 9 seconds where you see Queen Ambala with one of the hedgehogs. She's looking like straight onto the camera. She has like the super serious look on her face. And it's actually kind of intimidating. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That scene Martin calls what he calls a council of chieftains. So basically the leaders of all the groups they've got, but who's representing God Tribe? You think they picked up Waka after he, got his butt kicked?
Well, I mean, he
Maybe.
is there in the scene, so I'm
Oh.
going to assume yes.
Maybe the warden is their house parent.
That would make a lot of sense, actually. I mean, in the book, straight up, when the battle's over and the God Tribe returns to their home area, it's the warden who sees them home. So
Yes.
yeah, that works. So yeah, their basic plan is that they're gonna. Oh yeah, that's Waka right there. Is to take they're gonna assault two sides at the same time with the nets and go over the top instead of trying to go through the main gate, which is actually pretty tactically smart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their battering ram has basically showed that the main gate's not a good attack point. Although they do resume the cart. Hey, we're gonna set the cart on fire and ram it into the front gate as a distraction.
Yep.
And that cart has seen
I
better
just
days.
need an apocalypse cloak.
That cart has definitely seen better days. Oh my god. I don't think Ball is going to get his security deposit back when he takes it in for repairs.
No.
So the plan is to attack after sunset, and then we get a scene that was nowhere in the book to be
No.
found. Like, I don't even remember Martin being told Feldo was dead and reacting to it. Did that even happen?
I think it did, but it was very brief.
Yeah. But here, we get a full-on funeral and eulogy by Martin for Feldo.
No, that didn't happen in the book.
No, it didn't. I mean, I'm okay with this. I really am, because it's acknowledging a major death.
Mhm.
But yeah,
At the
this was.
same time, go ahead.
Okay.
We're so polite. Go ahead, Matthias.
All right. Just it seems weird to me after all the complaints that we've brought up over Feldo's indiscretions that it's like, yes, we're going to say, yeah, what he did was honorable and a good thing. It's like, no, he was an idiot. Yeah, what he did was, for the right reason, but he did the wrong thing. Don't celebrate that.
Yeah, he wasn't exactly the best tactical leader they had. He just wanted to hurt any and all Batarang's forces and Batarang until the pain stopped.
Yes, because that
Yeah.
is how coping works.
Yes.
So yeah, and we have back to Marshank where they're drinking their frothy mugs of apple juice. Yeah. It's not even frothy, it's straight up tankards, so it's water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
water, totally. Remember, this is Y7 rating.
Yeah, they're not going to show beer, to be certain. And we get out of nowhere, because I don't remember this either, is Clogs pulls a Constance from season 2 in Matameo and starts speaking in a spooky voice just to unnerve Batarang's troops, and it's like literally like, boss, is that you? That's what they should be doing. It's like, Clog, we know what you sound like.
Yep.
And
There's a
my
little bit of
question-
that in the book.
Yeah. My question is, though, he's in this little tiny corner of stone and like a little bit of wood, and it's open on like 75% of his size. How is this generating an echo?
He's directly below them, too. Yeah, that would take the average person a little bit to figure out, but you'd figure out where the sound was coming from. But I guess Clark just gotta have his fun. So okay. So remember, the original plan was after sunset, but the next scene we seen is full on night, and yeah, it's full moon out. Aw, look at bro sleeping there. He's so cute.
It's also very relatable as Martin tries to rouse him. He's just like, we've all been there. We all know that feeling of just,
5 more minutes,
what
Mom.
time is it? Yeah, 5 more minutes.
But he wakes him up and Rose. And because we haven't had foreshadowing since Polkeen, Martin picks a rose and gives it to Rose for, end quote, for luck.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
She's gonna need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not foreshadowing the slightest. Nope.
Hey, Rose, since I promised to keep you safe and your parents are counting on you coming home, can you do me a favor and lead the back lines here and make sure our medical needs are attended to with your brother? No, we're not going to do that? Okay. Granted, though, if Martin actually did try that, she'd probably be like, no, I'm not going to wait in the back row while you do your fighting.
I'm here to support you, so let me do what I want.
Yeah.
Also, Martin's speech to everybody that's just like, hey, we're gonna go conquer Badrang. He's like talking about doing it in the name of Feldo. You know, the guy obsessed with revenge.
Yeah.
But Martin clearly says they're not fighting for revenge, but
yes,
for
you are.
Feldo.
Yes, you are, Martin. Don't lie. Also, they set the fire to the cart way too far away from the castle gates. Like, if you don't want the wall guards to see you coming, never mind that they're passed out drunk. We'll get to that. You should be saving that for like your last, like the last 20 feet before you bash that into the gate.
Well, you need some time for the fire to build up. I'd say maybe not 20 feet, maybe 100 yards, but still, yeah, in visual range of Marshank.
Even so, if based on how hot that fire would likely get and how quickly, because that's straw they're burning, not wood. So very quick and go very quickly. How are they even coming? I mean, you couldn't get close from the sheer heat alone, or shouldn't be able to. Like, anyone who stood too close to a campfire knows what I'm talking about. Like, there's a reason you're not supposed to stand too close. It's not just that the flames can burn you, but even the raw heat can make you uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Much as if you're close enough to enough heat, that alone can burn you.
Andre the Giant did it just fine.
Brady, you want to redo that line? You broke up a lot.
Yeah, Andre the Giant did it just fine.
Good point. So we get, I mean, I probably could look up this guy's name, but a random member of Marshank's horde who somehow has prophetic dreams.
I think that's Hisk.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. He's the weasel in a kilt, and he's imagining that, all the good creatures are coming with a burning cart to kill them. Hey, look, the good creatures are coming with a burning cart to kill them.
No.
It's like, oh, what a nightmare. Oh no, it's real. Ah!
Yeah, he's just like, oh man, I have had way too much frothy mugs of apple juice. And yeah, none of the wall guards are even conscious except Hisk when he wakes up to see this. All of them are passed out drunk, or at least that's the implication. They're not going to spell that out in a PBS show, but yeah, that's what they are.
Well, they worked hard.
Yep. And Badrang's already awake. Like, no one has to rouse him from sleep. So, when does he
Either
sleep?
that or he sleeps with the sword attached to his side, which honestly seems also in character, so anything's possible.
Yeah, it does. So next we get, after they crash the cart into the front gate and it straight up explodes, like, no, you see Caprices go everywhere. You get Bala leading the javelin thrower ranks, and there's Brome, remember our non-combatant healer medic, who's in line with them, and Rose. Although I can forgive Rose a lot easier because, yeah, she's an active fighter here.
Yeah, she didn't take a vow of pacifism like her brother did.
Yeah.
And Pelham's in the ranks too. So, and our Badger. So, and yeah, battering. Yeah, it doesn't scream like a little girl this time, but yes, javelins are coming down from the sky. Some of them on fire. And battering realizes, yeah, they need to put that fire out because the main gate's kind of a vulnerable point if that does collapse. Hey, what's it coming down from the sky? And we get our Queen of the Pygmy Shrews. Basically does exactly what she does in the book. It's like, okay, everybody get climbing.
Yep.
And yes, the full-on battle is going on. And yeah. Even the God Tribe's just like, okay, this is going to be fun.
This is going to be a good game.
Yeah, they're straight up Lost Boys because they also let down ladders for more compatriots to climb up.
Yeah, the God Tribe is a useful weapon if you can point them in the right direction.
Pretty much. Like, we never find out what rationale they said to come in and risk their lives here, but they're enjoying it.
I guarantee it's framed as a game of some sort.
Oh, I have no doubt. So, Batarang, finally, we see that end-of-the-line villain madness kind of start to sink in. Like, he runs for the Longhouse to be by himself as everything is burning around him. And we actually see him, like, panicking. And his paws are shaking. And it's where he's like, you can't take Marshak from me. I'm always win. He even, like, curls up in a ball and it's like, oh, no, this can't work. And, oh, that's the Warrior Mouse guy.
But the weird thing is he's like the ghost of that mouse, even though he just saw him last episode and knows he's still alive.
Well.
Yeah, when Clog is more sane than your main bad guy. So, and here we come to a major difference, and as this last bit of the episode starts to unfold, in that Book Batarang, yeah, he didn't like Martin to be certain, but he wasn't laser focused on him. Not until they were at Crossing Blades directly. Here, Batarang is not only obsessed with, oh, the quote ghost of a mouse, but he's actively like, oh gosh, he's there. And it's like, no, your book version was more concerned about keeping the fortress. But
and it's a little inconsistent with the beginning of this series anyway, where he's like, who are you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we also, since Batarang, as we mentioned at the end of the last episode, must have pulled out his contract in previous scripts because he gets the bright idea to do exactly what Clooney did.
Yeah.
It worked in season 1. I just took a hostage. That'll get me out of here.
I mean, it helps that they have the same voice actor, so...
Yes.
And again, right up to the Batarang, where Batarang and Martin finally cross blades and duel to the death, Batarang, again, he was just trying to get out, and this is where he encountered Palom, who was blocking his way with his spines, Grum, who charged him with the ladle and got tossed aside, and Rose, who also got tossed aside in that version of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Here, he's actively seeking out a hostage, and it's like, totally will get me out, right? And, of course, the hostage he takes is Rose.
Yeah,
because...
of course.
Now, weird thing. 11 minutes, 14 seconds. Rose is in Batarang's clutches. He has her by the fronts of her robe. Her facial expression looks happy. Just
Ooh,
as it's about to fade to black. It's like, what in the world?
I'm going to enjoy watching Martin kick the crap out of you. Save it for the other episode.
Yeah.
I'll have to edit that out.
But yeah, just this strangely serene look of like peaceful contentment on her face. It's like, I've been waiting for this.
This is fine.
Take me
Nothing
the
happened to me.
sweets.
I'm a main character.
I surrender to the tender embrace of death. Take me.
But yeah, and then Droop or Roll, I don't know which. It's a vole, comes out of nowhere and runs right at Batarang with a sword. And Batarang pulls a Captain America and smashes a shield into his face.
Oh yeah.
And even calls him Flat Nose. Yeah, he's still holding Rose hostage, and no one tries to help her. Yeah, I know most people are probably involved in their own personal battles, but whatever. You also get Umbala, who climbs up the net and sees Crosstooth right in front of her. And
the look on her face is just great. Just like, oh, I get to have fun now.
Yeah.
Like something out of an internet meme. This look of just pure, I'm going to enjoy this.
Because she literally says, "Ooh, I'm gonna teach you to fly," and Crosstooth's like what? And Martin pulls him down, and together he and Umbala do the dreaded shuggy toss and toss him to his death, essentially. They grab him by his arms and legs and toss him off the side all the way down the prison pit.
Whee!
I'm okay! And this is where Martin sees Rose is in danger and rushes bravely to her rescue.
And you know what? I expected him to like vault over the wall top railing to rescue Rose. But again, this is a Y7 rated show. They don't want to encourage little kids to jump from high places. He runs as quickly as he can and takes the stairs.
Well, the escalator was broken. So,
yeah.
And of course, Batarang basically threatens, like, put down your sword or I'm going to kill the mousemaid. And to Martin's credit, he's just like, okay. And Batarang, of course, threatens his life. And this is where Rose bites him. He drops the sword and gets to the fight. And then we get the most PBS version of a stabbing death I've ever seen. If you were paying attention from the book, Batarang didn't care that he encountered Rose in the book. He just cast her aside because she was in the way. And Rose happened to hit the wall with enough force to break her neck and kill her. In this version, he actively goes out of his way to be the jerk and stabs his hostage to spite the hero.
Yep.
So yes, if you want to do the joke, Rose is dead again.
Again, man, I was really hoping she'd survive the series for some reason.
You know, I was hoping that, you know, for like, I don't know, like the dozenth time I've watched this, it's like, you know, I've seen this 11 times before. Maybe this time she'll actually survive.
Yeah, in the summary, I was reading the summary on the wiki today just to catch myself up, and it said that Rose heroically sacrifices her life. I'm like, wait, she didn't like throw herself in front of him, did she?
Not really, no. I mean, yeah, she acts on her own agency and bites Batarang to disrupt the pattern because Batarang's starting to stab love of her life, but yeah, that's about all she does. I'm going to get to my final thoughts on this version of the death later, but it's less satisfying to me, and I'll explain why.
Oh, definitely, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So, we get our, when I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master. This long duel between the two as they use this tiny dagger versus a long sword. It's very Peter Pan versus Captain Hook. Of course, Martin wins, but in the book version, again, Martin is nigh unstoppable. It doesn't matter how many wounds he takes. He is determined to pry his father's sword out of Batarang's hands and force it into Batarang's heart. And it's one of the more chilling hero to villain death kills. Now, obviously, on a PBS cartoon, that's not going to happen.
No.
What we get is the two of them fighting back and forth. Martin manages to knock his father's sword out of Batarang's hand into the prison pit. Oh, hi, Crosstooth. No, he's not even down
does
there.
not exist.
I know, he's not even down there. Where Martin picks up the sword and Batarang, like an idiot, jumps down at Martin. And all Martin has to do is hold up the sword and Batarang impales himself.
Actually, he doesn't jump in. He's like teetering at the edge, like, whoa, trying to get his balance on one foot.
Mhm.
And then Martin jumps in first because he sees that Bataring's about to fall in,
Yeah, you're
grabs
right.
the sword, turns it upwards, and good thing Bataring's wearing a cape, otherwise we'd see the impalement, but nope.
What we do see is what's implied to be the point sticking out. It's just covered by the cape.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's all, folks, for Batarang. He dies pretty quickly, actually.
Hooray!
I will
Everything's
say-
fine.
At like 13 minutes, 41, 42 seconds, you see Batarang teetering there.
Yeah.
Again, another image that would be perfect for a meme. It looks like he's about to break down and dance.
Oh, that would have been such a better version. Breakdance fight. Or a dance off between the two.
Yeah.
Yes.
Disco battle.
But yeah, you're right. And then yeah, Martin's like, cool, got my sword back, so good times. And
Rose?
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 Yeah.
Yeah, this scene. If you recall,
And then suddenly, the fighting in the rest of the fortress is just over.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And this is the thing in the book. Like, no one bothered to go after Clog, or Clog never bothered to join the fight.
Yes.
Where was he this whole time?
I was not. I was not very moved by Martin's reaction. I don't know if you guys had the same. I'm only relying on the voice acting, but
Yeah.
I was more moved by Grum, just the way he said Miss Rosie. Just like
Yeah.
I was more moved by that than Martin's like, "Dear Rose, forgive me." And it was strange, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, another major change from the book here. Like, in the book, when Martin finally kills Batarang and literally does a smoke if you got him and falls pretty much straight over,
Yeah.
he is clearly delirious because he still thinks Rose is alive. He doesn't know
He's just
that.
chatting with her like, "Hey, I could have used this to chop down the sycamore. That's cool."
Right, Rose?
Right?
And we never really got a good answer in the book, and it's actually one of Brian's better moments here, whether Martin even realized Rose was dead before he jumped into the fight.
I didn't realize Rose was dead until like later. When I
Yeah.
first read it, I was like, "Oh, but she's just unconscious, right? Like she'll be fine, right? She's gonna make it, right? Right, Brian, right?"
I mean, the literal wording of it is screaming like a wounded wolf. Martin attacks Batarang.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a hey, I'm out for freaking vengeance for killing the love of my life, or it could be I found my hated enemy and I want him to die. Or both.
Yep.
We're never really known whether Martin is even cognizant Rose is alive or dead before he joins that fight.
Or he could just think that she got hurt. Like he saw her like hit the wall, and he could just think, "Oh, you just hurt her. Like she's hurt now."
You hurt my girlfriend. I
Yeah.
smash.
Right.
Here, not only is he relatively unwounded, although we do see him with bandages shortly, he is fully lucid and completely aware of what's gone down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe he didn't know Rose was already dead, but he had definitely was cognizant that she'd been stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he starts crying and says, "Rose, forgive me." And yeah, then we get Grum's reaction. And
then he makes another deviation from the book, which this one confuses me to no end, which is, I'll never use my father's sword. I swear on my father's sword, I'll never use it to kill another person again. It's like,
well, that's technically true.
That, I mean, yes and no.
Yeah.
It's technically true. He doesn't use his father's sword to kill anyone again. He uses his sword when it's reforged.
That's very impressive lawyering, sir.
Well, by the time we see him in Mossflower, he has Luke's sword for all of about a chapter or two before Sarmina breaks it.
Yeah.
So, by the time it's repurposed as a blade, it's his sword.
I'm trying to remember if he used the broken bit to kill anybody. I can't remember.
That's certainly possible, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to call shenanigans regardless.
Yes.
So, Yeah, we have the reaction to this, and Martin is, at least he's conscious. We all we see him at first is that his arms are getting bandaged by Brome, who is taking the fact that the guy who swore to protect his sister did not way too well.
Yeah.
Like, in the kind of grief moment, that would genuinely be an anger focus for Brome. Not that he didn't protect his sister, but his would have been brother-in-law did not either. And we also get the very, very much a kid's show philosophy of, oh, there's no one to blame here but Badrang. It's like, technically true, but yeah.
It's one of those things that's like, we could have drawn this out into like a big long guerrilla war like Feldo started with, and instead of going full Feldo and just charging.
We also see Rose being carted off by Captain, who cloned Dwarf again. Oh, there's two of them now. Literally, two Vols are basically the mortuary team to haul off people.
Yeah, well.
And they're wearing the same outfit, and they're ostensibly they look the same, so twins? I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. That or someone threw Droop in the vermin cloning tank.
Oh, so that's how they get all of the extra vermin.
But yeah. And yeah, they're gonna take it back to Noonvale, and it's much more of a bridged ending than the book, even than the book does. Like, not just that Martin is completely conscious for this whole thing, but they do a full-on funeral for Rose back at their camp, and it's surrounded by rose bushes. And there's Martin on the stretcher, who is now much more heavily bandaged. And by much more, I mean he's got an extra one on his leg and one around his head. Because bandages fix everything.
Yep.
That's cartoon logic.
We saw that in Madame Mayo, where he gets cut around his like stomach area, and then Tess and Alma are bandaging his leg. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. We also get Brome basically inviting anyone without homes of their own to return with him to Noonvale, since Red Ball, doesn't exist yet. And we also have a fairly good scene where they everybody agrees to toss away their weapons because the war is over, and Keela burns them. Sure, I hope there's not any other vermin gangs out there you run into, but okay.
Yeah,
I get it. It's important symbology for the end of the war.
And then we see Clog finally off of his rocker.
But even then, it's barely so. Like, at most he's doing is that he's kind of taunting his old crewmates who turned against him in Batarang. And he chases off the gulls.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really implied madness. It's just that he's just kind of perversely gloating that he's the only one to survive.
But he's talking to their corpses like they can respond.
Yeah.
There's that. I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit of madness here, but it's not very well dwelt on. And yeah, that's the end of Clog. Where in the book he's explicitly much more crazy. Here it's much more implied. But hey, Clog, Fortress is yours, so
In the end, you got what you wanted.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have a crew anymore or a ship.
He just needs to figure out how to reanimate corpses. He can have a zombie crew.
Yeah, that could work.
Something Black Pearl, Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
And where they do the final, but not the final bit, but to tribute Rose in this final bit, and I actually appreciate this. This was actually a bittersweet moment. Is that they play her earlier song from episodes ago where she was singing.
I like this.
over a montage of everyone reacting, where Grum returns to Noonvale, and we don't ever see her parents' reaction, which I'm sure is horrid.
Devastating.
They're horrified.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We see the various groups break up. Bala goes back with her shrews. The Noonvale other groups head back to Noonvale. The God Tribe goes back to their territory with the Warden watching on. So that's more akin to the book.
Mm-hmm.
And the song bit ends with Martin watching the sunset by himself while holding on to a cane for support. Yeah, he's crying over the death.
Oh no, it keeps going. You see, as the seasons are changing, now it's winter and there's snow everywhere.
Yeah, and just like the book, Martin ends. Martin finishes his bit in Polkeen's house, where he's still working with Bala and Roanoke.
Yeah, this may be my most pedantic moment, but like when they're talking about, oh yeah, Martin, he never mentions Rose, and then in the next minute he mentions Rose.
Surprise!
Yeah, it's like, dude, come on.
I can kind of excuse that because it's like he never talks about her, but it's clear that she's on his mind. It's like a how do I want to put this? When somebody's dealing with grief, they can't actually say the word death, but they use like a euphemism to describe it.
Mhm.
Passing on, gone away.
See that whole Monty Python sketch of the dead parrot.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but I don't want to add something funny to this very sad and emotional thing. That
I know, but I'm going to do it because it's funny to me.
Too late.
But yeah, this is like the first time that he's had the actual fortitude to be able to actually talk about this. It's been obviously at least 2 full seasons, and he's finally at a place where he can talk about his grief openly.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically implied this is the spring following the war.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would have been an autumn and a winter in between there, too.
I just get the impression in the book that Martin never mentions her name again. Like, he might think about her, he might reminisce to himself, but like he never mentions her name or talks about her with anyone. Which may be a little healthier what he does in the series, but
yeah. But yeah, he finally does the whole speech of "I'm leaving today, and I won't mention Noonvale to anyone outside because it deserves a peace, and I cannot bring myself to return to Noonvale because of the memories of Rose, and Rose's family would probably rightfully try to kill him.
Yes,
it would certainly be awkward.
Yeah, he gets off easy.
Yeah.
Even as I mentioned, Brome he doesn't react that hard over the death of his own sister as much as you think, but maybe that's his own grieving process.
I was gonna say, yeah, grief is very strange. Like, people react in very different ways.
So, yep. And yeah. So they all they although they recognize his reasons and rationale why, Roanoke does encourage him to at least visit everybody at Noonvale, and yeah, that's not going to happen.
Nope.
They also do affirm freedom that Martin does not join in, surprisingly. But yeah, he tells him he's going to head south because that's where season 4 is, right? Right?
Sure.
Whatever you want. It's your imagination. You're welcome to have it.
But yeah, they do send him off rather. And our final bit here is a narration from Tim Churchmouse from all the way back at the prologue, who's telling this story to the other Redwallers that Martin had totally sworn to protect innocent Woodlanders, and that then he came here and founded Redwall. Like, Tim, no, he hadn't. When we pick up him in Mossflower, he's a little wiser, but it's clear from like anyone who read Martin the Warrior into Mossflower that he's kind of just wandering to wander because he doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until he gets involved in all of Mossflower that he basically does what you say he's going to do.
That's why that book is so
I'm under
good.
the assumption that he basically wandered south, ended up crossing paths with the Cotier forces, while the death of Rose is still in his mind, to some extent, and in his mourning, he's just kind of like not watching where he's going, not really paying attention to what's around him, gets jumped, and that kicks off the events of Mossflower.
Yep.
Much less. So yeah, and it takes us back to Redwall to finish this, and we are also told straight up that, hey, we actually learned about this in Mariel Redwall, but we're not actually going to mention any of their names.
No.
And they're the ones who brought us the Late Rose in the first place. So.
I mean, I get why they did that. They didn't want to add a whole bunch of new characters.
As we started off the season, like we said, we get why we did, because as you point out, Katie, they'd have to introduce everybody, Mariel and the Bellmaker characters, which they're not going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Constance, you may want to trim up a little bit there because you're starting to look like Orlando.
Yep.
No, she really is.
Also, is that supposed to be Rollo in the front left corner?
I think so, yeah. Wait a minute. Let's take a harder look at this picture, because we have, Constance, who hasn't groomed herself in a while. We have a clearly slightly older Matthias and Cornflower there on the left. Who is on the right? Why is there another Matthias there?
That's Matameo.
Matameo.
Because he's next to Taz.
Yeah. Now that makes sense, because when we last saw Matameo was next to Tess. So I first my brain was running like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't right, but no, that is right. So, and obviously
even though
Basil there.
Yep, the character model is clearly that of Matthias, but at the same time, it's like, that's supposed to be Matameo.
Yeah. Who's watching Little Martin? Because he's not here. Like, he's totally in the prologue. It's Cornflower who's watching him, but yeah, he's not here. I mean, it's Redwall. There's 1,000 babysitters. I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah.
Orphans.
Wait,
I had to get that in at least once.
Oh, absolutely, you did. But yeah,
orphans, slaves, and orphan slaves. That's how the series goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ends it, and
food.
That's the end of episode 39/13, and its final shot is the Let Rose that's been inscribed into a plaque overlooking, I guess, the Great Hall.
Well, there you go.
Yep. And also Redwall Abbey. So, yay. So that's the final. That's the final episode. So let's go over first, before we get into our opinions here, what the wiki lists as the official differences from the books. For episode 12, difference from Martin the Warrior. In the book, Feldo beat Batarang with a javelin and slew 20 vermin soldiers before he was killed. In the television series, Feldo didn't beat Batarang, but instead took the sword of Martin and pointed at him. He also died without killing any of Batarang's soldiers. Boo.
Yeah, Feldo would not approve of this.
No.
Mm-hmm.
As said in our headcanon, Feldo is at least the son, if not grandson, of Ragnarvar Foeseeker.
Yes.
So, other point, Agril does not appear in the TV series. And
meh. I didn't miss him.
Yeah, it's a meh. I get why he was cut out. He's kind of, even in the book he's kind of superfluous. Like, you can remove him from the story and it doesn't really change much. So, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the fact that we get a hedgehog who is clearly not on the hero side and would have implied killed him. And it was like, it's kind of like a reminder of like, not every good species is necessarily good.
Yep.
Okay. Also, when the Fern Freedom Fighters are pinned down by Batarang, it's Celadine who tells Bala he's never made a short speech, not Yarrow, but we didn't even cover that in this recap. So.
Yeah.
Fine. All right, episode 13. Differences from Martin the Warrior. There are 4. In the book, Batarang killed Rose by hurling her against the wall. In the TV series, it is implied she's stabbed.
Implied.
Yeah. Implied, we see her eye like get real big when the blade is supposed to go in, and then she's tossed aside. So, all right. During their duel in the book, Martin and Batarang both grab onto the sword hilt, and Martin turns it around and rams into Batarang's heart. In the episode, the sword falls down on the blade as Martin holds it out, like I already said. I want to get to that. In the third point, Martin and Late Rose never confessed their love in each other in the book. I don't have a problem with this, honestly. It's a step because Batarang never really Brian Jakes never shows us like that explicitly, almost between any canon couple, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like he relies on heavy implication for pretty much everybody. So, and lastly, point 4. In the episode, Martin throws down his sword after the battle and vows never to use it again. In the book, he kept and used it when he journeyed to Mossflower Woods and hung it up only after the events of the book Mossflower, except for Legend of Luke. So, ha-ha!
Yeah.
You've got a point wrong. Okay. That said, of course, since it's the PBS cartoon, and this is, again, getting into my opinion here, I get that the violence and everything else is going to be toned down, but I really don't like the fact that Rose, in the absolute 11th hour, was made into a damsel in distress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is actually a better, like, showing war is senseless and crap happens by having her in, like she is in the book, that she's just in the way. Batarang just tosses her aside because he's just trying to get the heck out of Dodge. He doesn't care that she's the love interest of his hated enemy. He's just trying to run. Here, that the fact that there's a taunting and a hostage situation that we already did with Clooney and Columbine.
Cornflower,
excuse me. It's just, why did they repeat this point? Unless they just wanted to ratchet up the drama.
Yeah.
So I'm not the biggest fan of it. But does it bother me that much that Batarang stabs her instead of tosses her aside? No, but I think it would have been the death as it was written would have been a better idea.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But maybe they would want to give hero save. Oops. Maybe they want to go for that route. I don't know. But all in all, this is still a fairly good translation as far as I'm concerned. It's got its flaws. Certainly, these last 2 episodes are way too jam-packed. But again, I think the season of Matamayo is still the best one we've gotten. At least from this production group.
Are you sure that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that the villain is played by Tim Curry?
I'm going to play the 5th on that one. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that has nothing to do with it.
Answer for me is yes. Yes, it definitely does have to do with it.
Okay, maybe a little. But I genuinely think Matamayo is written better to not only the source material it comes from, but through a better approach of everything that season 1 got wrong, that season 2 made right.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it doesn't have Wild Ivy.
It does not.
Well,
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
For me, for as jam-packed as this is and as rushed as it is, I'd say the last 5 minutes are still some of the tightest production that I've seen for me in all 3 seasons, because they managed to take Rose's death and make it such a gut punch that literally every single time I watch this, it stirs up so much emotion inside of me. It's like my eyes get moist every single time. So yeah, while the episodes do have some problems, I will forgive them because it's so impactful to me, the last 5 minutes, that it almost undoes the rest of the problems that I could bring up. Uh, there are certain things, as we discussed, that I would like to see included that worked. There were things that were cut out or just changed. It's like, but I liked it. I'll give this a solid, 8.5 out of 10. It while not perfect, that ending takes up that score significantly from where it otherwise could have been. Though I will agree, if you're just taking the seasons as a whole, season 2 still has the best storytelling direction to it.
Yeah, I think for me, I am obviously missing the visual component. So Rose's death, first of all, I didn't understand when it happened, how it happened. Like the first time I was watching it, I knew what happened because by that time I had read the book, but I didn't understand how it happened. And then Martin's reaction didn't do it for me. The only thing I liked was Grum's reaction. I did like the Noonvale song, but it could be, and I don't know if I'll explain this well, but like maybe it's because the book handled it more like I handle grief, and it might be unfair of me because, like I said, people handle grief in a lot of different ways. But just the kind of shock and like the disbelief and the sort of denial that was in the book and sort of like the ambiguity of it really spoke to me more than what the series did. And that's probably a matter of personal taste for me. Also because in the book, I'm not missing an entire component of the visual component of it because it's a book. But yeah, otherwise I enjoyed this season. I still prefer season 2. But I definitely enjoyed parts of the season. I liked Clog, not a big fan of Badring's voice. But and also, I mean, I just want all the villains to be played by Tim Curry, so there's that. But
fair. Brayden, you still there?
Yeah. So I mean, I was just kind of putting my thoughts together too. Yeah, I overall really did like it. I mean, I come at it from a slightly different perspective, where like I found myself distracted by the fact that I hadn't read the book in a long time. So I was like, what are the differences here? Like, what is it getting right versus what is it getting wrong? So there was that, but I think it did a fantastic job overall. I honestly, I differ with you a little bit, Matthias, on the Rose's death part, just because I think it took a few minutes at least for it to actually feel like it had an impact. Like it happened, and then we finally got to the portion of like having a song and all that, and I thought that was where it really settled in. I do think probably the biggest problem with this whole series was just the pacing. Some episodes had a lot, some episodes had next to nothing in them. So there was that, but I would give it like close. If we're gonna rate it, close to an 8, I think, a little under. But I mean, this is one of my favorite books anyway, so I was just like waiting for everything to happen that was happening. I'm like, when's this happen? When I thought it was great. So I was just happy to be back into it, really. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, it might just be my nostalgia talking because whenever a season of Redwall aired, it was always the first couple of weeks after school had let out, week after when summer vacation had first started. Redwall was back on TV, and I was like,
"Yay!"
Let's see, I would have been 12 when this first aired.
oh yeah,
So
perfect nostalgia time.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So whenever I think back to this, it's just like, okay, the weather is warm. I'm watching on the old CRT TV in the living room, probably
Good times.
having like a Nutri-Grain bar, waiting for that spaghetti and meatball dinner mom was making, and I'm back there in the past, and nostalgia is a heck of a drug.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So I'm certain some of this is just the emotional impact that I experienced there 20 years ago resonating up through the past. But the song is
nothing
still
wrong with that.
sad, and it's sad in all the best ways for me. So
It's a beautiful song. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it's that, and the lady they have singing it, she just does such a wonderful job. I don't is that actually Rose's voice actor, or did they have somebody else do the vocals? Because I can't
believe
tell.
it's the same person.
I'm checking.
But it's expertly done. Compared to the song that Brome sang earlier, which is, granted, a kid who's obviously not done like singing before, so it's like off key and a little warbly, but good effort on his part. But she knocks it out of the park.
Honestly, it's not clear. They do list a voice actress. There's also a second one here, and I'm not sure what that means.
Well, it could be a different vocalist. It just always sounded the same to me. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, the wiki, much less even IMDb, is kind of coming up short because if you actually watch the show's credits, it only lists about 7 voice actors for major principal characters. It doesn't tell us like everybody else. And animated shows are usually better about that. Like even if they don't tell us who's voicing whom, like they'll usually there's 1 or 2 big pages of all the VAs involved.
Yeah, the additional voice actors.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's really good. I love it. It's all the right notes for me. Pun not intended.
Yeah. That being said, that brings us to the end of the PBS series. Now, taken as a whole, I mean, my opinion's already obvious. I like it. I do think that a couple of the seasons, 1 and 3 primarily, do sacrifice things that they change things that probably weren't the best idea. And certainly, yeah, Wild Ivy is an issue with the filler arc, but compared to the literal hundreds of animes out there that do it worse, yeah, it's forgivable. All in all, I think the PBS Levana team, they did a fair job. And had this gone forward, my first vote would have been a Mossflower follow-up to show us Sarmina and Martin's further journey, and then they could have wrapped it up and then gotten to a different book. I will also
and maybe actually have done like Legend of Luke afterwards with, post Mossflower bumpers for the first and last episode.
Also possible, yeah. Either way, I think if we'd ever gotten this any other books attack, like I said earlier in the episode, I would have wanted to see Mariel and the Bowmaker following because, yeah, we should have a female lead.
Yeah, no, I'm down for that. I'm down.
Like, is what it is. We didn't get. Now, question is, what will Netflix do when their time comes? And this is being recorded well over a year since we had that announcement, and we still don't know anything new. We don't. I mean, this is Netflix style. They make their initial announcement, and then like a year and a half, even 2 years can go by, and we don't know anything. And then suddenly there's a trailer, and it's out in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating for if you're trying to run a fandom podcast, but there's not much we can do here.
Jason Momoa as Boar the Fighter.
Maybe.
I'm still down for Clancy Brown to do Clog.
Heck yes. But it is Mr. Krabs' voice.
Yes.
I want Strong Bad to do Clog.
Oh no. Actually, no. I think we could probably find a better villain for let's see, who would be Gabool. Strong Bad is Gabool.
Or Strong Bad is like Plug Firetail, because
Eh.
he's a little bit more of a lovable villain, like Strong Bad. Anyway.
So that being said, dear readers, it is April when we are recording this. You know what that means.
No, in Minnesota. Oh.
It means we're up to a possible trivia episode. Right, Matthias?
Yep, I have my questions right here in front of me.
Interesting. And then Fanfiction 5. No, I will lock the doors this time, just like last time. And hopefully we don't find a fic that breaks us. My God. I am still trying to have a unnamed guest come on. And you actually reach out and say, hey, you guys still up for this? But we'll find out if they can come on.
Ooh, intrigue.
And of course, dear readers, should you wish to contribute to Fanfiction 5, as years previous, we encourage you to send us your fics, or the fics you want us to look at, even the fics that you know will drive us up the insane. Just a quick refresh on the rules for fanfiction. We don't do anything more violent than the series proper, and much less more adult. And while I personally don't do shipping fics, don't let it discourage you. That doesn't mean one of my fellow panelists won't do it. But don't be surprised if they don't take it up either. That being said, what comes after Fanfiction 5 and the trivia episode? We still have 2 books to do, guys.
Yeah.
We still have
One
2
of
books
which
and the video game.
Sable
Much
Queen
less.
has 4 books instead of 3, so weirdly.
So, I will be talking with the panelists on how we want to pull out the schedule here, but I would imagine we will probably get back to our roots and do the Sable Queen next after that, and then we'll talk about the video games.
Yes, because the video game may be more canon than Rogue Crew.
And with any luck, by that time, we'll at least know of at least more information when the Netflix series comes out. But if it's not out by the time we finish the Rogue Crew, I just mean we'll keep doing fanfiction episodes. Matthias, where are you going? Where are you going? No, I wouldn't put this up for these guys to it. But we still have material planned even after we're done with the video games and remaining books, folks, so don't go anywhere. That being said, you can find us at recorderonthewall.com. Our primary email is rotwpod@gmail.com. That's our Twitter, by the way, as well, rotwpod. We are active on the Redwall subreddit, Eulalia, much as the Redwall forums. I'm not going to remember to post there. And, generally speaking, we do like fan contact quite a bit. And I am checking on ratings.
We can be found on all the general podcasting things.
Thank you. Apple Podcast, Google Play Podcast, and Spotify.
And any other service that scrapes RSS feeds.
There's a lot of them. Yeah. No, we don't have any new ratings, unfortunately.
Still perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's go with that way. All right. That being said, I'm your Papa Epic Pete.
I'm Matthias.
I'm Katie.
I'm Braden.
And we'll see you next time, folks.
Bye-bye.